who are here today for their wonderful support to even think of putting their son on the stage meant driving a very young, naive bass baritone from north to south, east to west of Wales to numerous competitions, but it only instigated in me a love for performing. Then came the Guildhall School of Music, and as you mentioned already, my very first singing teacher, Arthur Reckless. He wasn't reckless as a teacher, but he instilled in me a passion for music. My very first singing lesson, I was 10 minutes late. And of course, not knowing the ins and outs of the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, he then, for the next 1 hour, told me off for being late. And that his singing students always arrive 10 minutes early so that you're prepared, you're not breathless, running into the singing lesson, so that you're ready, eager to go and work on whichever repertoire that he would have given you. 3 years later, I went to a singing teacher called Rudolf Pierney. Went to my first singing lesson 10 minutes early, and he said I was too early. He's German, of course, so his promptness was even not that 10 minutes too early. He gave me 6 songs to learn for the first week and memorize. 2 by Schumann, 2 by Schubert, 2 by Pfitzner. On that Wednesday afternoon, I accomplished 2 of the songs from memory by Schubert. And he said, "Why haven't you memorized the Pfitzner or the Schumann? Don't waste my time. If you don't shape up, you should go home to your sheep." So in no uncertain terms, and I'm sure Mr. Nick Sears would appreciate what I've just said, because he was also in the Guildhall at that time. That was maybe the kick that I needed within me to work harder. And with Rudolf, and of course during the time that you're in college, this is the time where you can learn repertoire. I thankfully through him learned the Schwanengesang, I learned Winterreise, Die Schöne Müllerin, Die Schöne Magelone, many numerous songs. Maybe I should have learned much more than I actually did. But memorizing those songs, of course, helped towards the future. Then moving along, I met Sir Geraint Evans, which of course you mentioned. And there was a meeting of horns between me and Sir Geraint. After a competition, he'd heard me singing. And he sat me down and said, "You have a baton now that I'm going to pass on to you as an ambassador of music for not only Wales, but for your country, Great Britain. It's a privilege and an honour, and you should really take heed and be very careful with it. Don't let the side down. Also be presentable, work on your languages." So again, this is my 3rd lesson. I thought I was doing everything that I had to do, but on the journey, of course, people say things to you, and you should really listen to them. Moving on then, Sir Geraint Evans rang Sir George Sholty, and he told me, "If I'm going to do this for you, you really have to be on the balls of your feet, and whatever you do with him, you have to be prepared, on time, you look presentable, buy a new suit." Sir George Sholty, the day came when I auditioned for him up in Swiss Cottage. I have never ever been so nervous in my life walking into that room, which had, as he proudly said, more Grammys than Michael Jackson even. He had 2 beautiful grand pianos sat there, and I had Brian Davis, an old gentleman from South Wales, to come and play for this audition. We were auditioning for the role of Figaro in The Marriage of Figaro, which you have just performed on this stage. Apologies that I didn't see that performance. But I thought, sadly, he gave me the role of Antonio the gardener. So that very first day of rehearsal with all the cast, I was naively upset that I wasn't given Figaro. So maybe I hadn't done my homework on the gardener, Antonio. And in front of everybody, I made one or two glaring mistakes in very simple recitatives. And Sir George struck me down immediately, threw a pencil at me, which I've still got, actually. It's a very wonderful pencil that I use to mark my scores. And he said, "You never mark your score, Bryn. Mark it now." And at the end of the rehearsal, of course, I was incredibly naive, and I should have known Antonio inside out, because Sir George always said, there is never a small role within opera that doesn't have its importance. It's like a Flemish picture. Every character has an important part to play. So he sat me down after everybody went out and said it wasn't good enough, and that he was considering getting somebody else. So go home, look at your score, come back prepared. So these were 4 lessons that I was given. Today I was 10 minutes early arriving here. So it's something that maybe that you will encounter now in the future. So what can I surmise? Enjoy yourselves with the talent that you've been given, obviously. But on every occasion that you're working with somebody, listen to them. Write it down, because it will only add to your style and your interpretation, because these people certainly do know. Thank you very much.